company named Jawbone raised over $900 million in venture capital. $900 million. They had a product that people loved, a brand people recognized, a CEO Silicon Valley treated like royalty. 7 years later, they were worth nothing. Not less than they raised, zero. Liquidated, gone. This isn't a failure story. This is a financial felony committed in broad daylight, funded by some of the most sophisticated investors on the planet. Welcome to the most expensive funeral in hardware history. Hello, I'm Todd Hagopian, the original Stagnation Assassin. Today, we're opening the vault on Jawbone's catastrophic collapse from 2010 to 2017. The 7-year death spiral of a company that pivoted away from what was working into a market that devoured them alive. Was this a strategic slaughter or a stagnation suicide? Get the body bag. This one is messy. Jawbone in 2010, at the start of this debacle, gets a stagnation score of 4 out of 10. And that's what makes this so painful. They weren't stagnant. They were actually in a decent position. Their Jambox Bluetooth speaker was a hit. Their Bluetooth headsets were market leaders. They had momentum, brand equity, a loyal customer base. The corporate cancer wasn't in their business. It was in their boardroom. It was in the ego of leadership that decided a winning hand just was not good enough. Here's the audit. What Jawbone did wrong reads like a violation of every framework in my toolbox. Let me walk you through the carnage. Violation 1, the 80-20 matrix, inverted and or ignored. Jawbone speakers and headsets were the vital few, the 20% of their business driving the majority of brand value and revenue momentum. And instead of doubling down on what was working, CEO Hosain Rahman became infatuated with wearable fitness trackers. He looked at Fitbit's growth and decided that was the future. He abandoned his vital few to chase the vampire many, a market where he had no competitive advantage, no supply chain expertise, and no brand permission. Violation 2, the hot system completely abandoned. Honest evaluation would have told them, we are a premium audio company. We know nothing about biometric sensors, health data, or fitness tracking. Objective analysis would have shown Fitbit has a massive head start. Apple is entering the market, and hardware margins in wearables are brutal. Transparent assessment would have forced them to admit we are pivoting because our CEO wants to, not because the data supports it. None of this happened. They were high on their own hype supply. Violation 3, the 70% rule, deployed fatally. It can go wrong. Now, I'm a massive advocate of speed over perfection, but the 70% rule has a prerequisite. You have to be 70% right about the direction. Jawbone wasn't 70% right. They weren't even 50% right. They were pointed at a cliff, and they hit the accelerator. Speed without direction isn't the 70% rule. It's reckless ruin. The Up fitness brand launched with catastrophic quality issues. Returns were astronomical. Review scores were devastating. They released version after version, each one plagued with hardware defects, software bugs, and sync failures. They were spending faster than they were learning, and they were burning through that 900 million like it was jet fuel in a bonfire. Here's the hindsight homicide. The fatal flaw was pivot psychosis. The Silicon Valley delusion that any company can pivot into any market if they just move fast enough, break things, and spend enough money. Jawbone didn't pivot. They parachuted into enemy territory with no map, no weapons, and no extraction plan. The profit parasite that killed them was venture capital ventilator, the artificial life support of endless fundraising that masks a terminally ill business. Every time Jawbone should have died, every time the market was screaming, this isn't working, another round of funding kept the corpse walking. 900 million in capital wasn't an investment, it was embalming fluid. Here's the verdict. Jawbone took a functional, profitable position in premium audio and traded it for a death sentence in a market they just didn't understand, against customers they just couldn't match, with products that, frankly, just didn't work. This is not a pivot gone wrong. This is strategic self-destruction. Kill rating here, 1 out of 5 kills, total failure, institutional rot. This is what happens when ego replaces analysis, when hype replaces the hot system, and when venture capital replaces actual revenue. Jawbone didn't die of stagnation, they died of delusion. If you're thinking about pivoting away from a winning product because something shinier caught your eye, stop. Run the 80-20 matrix. Deploy the hot system. And if the data says stay, you stay. Head to tatagopian.com and stagnationassassins.com for more tools on how to declare war on stagnation. Pick up a copy of The Unfair Advantage. And as always, come back here to continue to declare war on stagnation together.